Hello and welcome to another episode of Exploring Careers in Tech. Today I'm joined by Nithen Naidoo. He's the CEO of Snode Technologies and he's going to tell us a little bit about his career and how he got to the point that he is right now. Welcome, Nithen.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure finally after so long. So I just wanted to ask Nithen, how did you get to the point that you are? How did you become a CEO? Yeah, how did you become the CEO of Snode?
Oh, wow. So I founded the company and when I started the company, I was the only person who worked in it. Mm-hmm. So naturally, I just assumed the position of CEO. But in truth, I was I'm more of a technical guy, technical background. And I played the role, I think, to be honest with you, more of like a chief technology officer at first. Mm-hmm. We went through a process of iterative innovation and we built a technology that we then could take to the market. And once we took our technology to the market, that's when I assumed the real role of CEO, right? That's when the commercial aspect, the go-to-market strategy, the financial models, etc., became important and relevant. And today, because we're like a well-established business, so we cross like 6 continents, we protect about 8 million devices, and Snode's all built in South Africa. Today, I play more of a almost like a due diligence role in the business, making sure we're doing the right thing.
Overseeing, yeah.
Yeah, and overseeing, making sure, like, for example, Leslie, what we were talking about our social responsibility, and plotting the path of innovation for the company. But I work less and less with the technology.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. So for you to end up finding a company or like I take that you studied something or you did something like in terms of like studying, what is like kind of like your study background and how did you end up acquiring those skills there?
So I studied computer science and AI, and then I left for 10 years and I went and played music for 10 years.
Wow.
And then, so I started my career late. And, let that just be a lesson to anyone, it's never too late to start. And I went to work and I was very fortunate. I got to work for some of the leading South African companies. And the area I specialized in was what people call, ethical hacking or penetration testing. And I think the lesson there is I chose to specialize and develop like a deep skill rather than a broad skill at first. Yeah. And then I became something specific to someone specific. And we provide security services all over the world. I got to travel everywhere. And at some point, I also became more of like a team model. So I had a deep skill, but I also had a broad understanding of my area. And, I went and I became a security architect. And then at some point I left.
You like your first role, like first job?
First job was ethical hacking. To be honest, I'm trying to avoid saying my first job was a penetration specialist.
Oh, damn.
Right? And that's what we called that particular career path at that particular point in time. I'm not entirely sure if that's still used today, but it was essentially because we broke into networks. And today, I think the field is more, this kind of capability is more pervasive. So we call it ethical hacking, and there's certificates and there's schools for it. But back then, there weren't really schools for it. And because of that, because it wasn't a widely understood field, I think we were lucky we got to travel the world. Fast forward, of course, once you develop that broad range of skills, you become very applicable to like a leadership role in a bank or in government or something in terms of security. And that's not that's a fantastic job. You can't believe you're getting a salary to do something you love so much, but you do. And at some point, you want to solve difficult problems. Like, how do I protect internet banking and how do I protect mobile banking? Of course, we're talking about 10, 20 years ago, when internet banking was just emerging. So what I did was I got into security architecture, into security management, those kinds of things. But at some point I decided I want to leave work and I want to start my own company. So I left work, I started my own company. We ran a consulting company and we built a product. And, today, we're a global company. And I think we have about 60 employees today.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is amazing. So my next question would be, like, as a successful founder and CEO, there's many people out there that aspire to be founders and like start their own thing. Most people that are working always aspire to end up having their own thing. I see people actually leaving their job at a later age, like retiring and starting consulting and stuff like that. What advice would you give, let's say, to someone like that was maybe in your position before you started? Like, what gave you the courage to kind of start? And like, did you have the idea, like the broader vision of like, okay, I'm going to be the founder, I'm going to have like this so many employees, I'm going to have global reach? And yeah, how did you end up like kind of getting there?
No, it's a fantastic question. I kind of built the plane as I was flying it, if that makes sense. So no, I didn't have the clear vision when I left. The first piece of advice I'd like to give people is not to wait. Your whole life can pass you by waiting. Second piece of advice is not to be scared, right? Fear is natural. The absence of fear is not bravery. Bravery is acting despite your fears. I think you need to be brave, and you need to, if you want to do big things. A lot of people go into areas like consulting. It's a very quick way to sort of monetize and get the business off the ground, and there's nothing wrong with it. But people also need to understand those kinds of business models have a problem because they don't scale well. Because there's only so many hours in the day that you can sell. Definitely. To sell more hours, you need more consultants, right? So that kind of idea, but that's not a problem, that's an opportunity.
Yeah.
Because there's a value proposition in finding something that people want that doesn't scale and then scaling it. Like, for example, take your consulting expertise, that sort of thinking, put it into an AI sort of application. When I say AI application, I mean apply it using, emerging AI technology, not AI application like put it into ChatGPT. That's not what I mean. I mean, use emerging technology to sort of automate or if you're like, for example, consulting to client X, how do I get a version of me to client X times 1 million or client X times infinity, leveraging AI? How do I scale something essentially that doesn't scale? Does it make sense?
Yeah, I'm getting it.
I think also, everybody talks about disruptive technology and they want to build that proverbial J-curve startup, that just goes exponential. I think disruption is not just about upsetting the apple cart. It's about finding something that's fundamentally flawed in the way things are done. And just sticking to the consulting example, people spend tons of money on consulting. If you can take your unique sort of expertise, knowledge, put it into something that's highly automated, reduce the cost of ownership for accessing that intellectual capital into something like an AI model, and solve the problem of taking consulting that only an enterprise could, and let's just say you take it to the small, medium business.
Yeah.
Right? That's the kind of disruption.
Like having a niche, basically.
Having a niche, and not just being disruptive in your technology application. You can be disruptive in the model. You can be disruptive in serving an underserved community. You can be disruptive in your costing and then therefore your pricing, right?
Okay.
Because once you train the model, you can sell the model over and over and over and over again.
Right.
So now you suddenly took something that couldn't scale and you scaled it, right? And that's kind of the secret formula. It's, of course, it's more difficult than we say, but it's exactly what led to Snode's success, right? I started a consulting business, but today I sell a platform, and to onboard a new customer, I don't need to hire more people. I simply
Give them the platform.
deploy another software license.
Oh wow, that's great. Like I really aspire for that. So like let's say for anyone maybe out there that's like maybe looks up to you, and you as a entrepreneur, and maybe when you started you didn't have the goal in mind of like, okay, I want to get this amount of money out of this business, or like I want to be a millionaire. Like everyone has that idea, and like one day I want to be a millionaire, until you're a millionaire. So I would like to ask, like, for you, what kind of attitude do you need to like, that is, what kind of purpose, what drive do you need to actually get to that point of like, what is your purpose? How do you know that this is what I'm supposed to do? Because many people start businesses and they fail, and you're talking about scaling right now. Most people start their businesses and they don't know how to scale. What advice would you kind of give, like, or what should people chase, like, to kind of get bigger or attain that success that you might have?
No, it's also a really good question. Everyone's North Star is different. So my North Star is not revenue or financially driven. It is largely driven by using our talents as a collective at Snode, and using our imagination and our innovation to sort of solve some social evils in Africa, but to make money while we do it.
Yeah.
So we sell the cybersecurity platform, for example. In the corporate space, we solve a big problem. We add value to those customers and they pay us, but that also funds our ability to provide predictive policing, to the likes of SAPs, to train SAPs, to help with disease prediction, etc., and use our talents where revenue may not be the driving force. So number one is you could be driven by that purpose, but I think the important caveat there is there's nothing wrong with being driven with like a lot of people will say, oh, I don't do it for the money.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's what you love, that's what you love. Some people don't love money as much as they love making money.
Yeah.
Right? So my partner, his passion is turning R1 into $1, and $1 into, 100 pounds and etc. He just loves that multiplier effect.
Okay.
Right? So he invests and he gets behind passionate people with passionate ideas, and everybody sort of wins in the chain. It's a very win-win-win kind of collaboration. So I think it's okay to have revenue as a North Star, but I think what you need to do is have an explicit target. Don't be hazy about it. I want to be rich, but what does rich mean? Tell me exactly what do you mean when you say rich? Because rich to me, rich to Leslie, and rich to somebody in the audience is going to be different things.
Yeah.
Right? So be specific on your goal. Be specific on your target. Make sure the target is your real target. Okay. Don't say you want to be rich just because everybody else says they're going to want to be rich, right? Don't say you want to help people just because everybody else, you think it's the right answer. It has to be truly deeply what's embedded inside you, right?
Okay.
I almost feel that's the way the universe tells us what our path is. And then it's just brave. We need to be brave and follow that path. So you've got to listen to your inner self and identify what that target is.
Okay.
Once you identify that target, all you need to do is take where you are now and identify and reverse engineer from that target to where you are now as Leslie, sitting on the sofa. Okay, right, this is what I want to build. I want to build a media empire.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Work back from a media empire, and what does that path look like to where we are sitting right here today in the current moment? Once you've built that path, it's realistic, it's measurable, you've got a few milestones, you've got a way to measure your performance. You're probably going to deviate off that path. But what you do is don't think about the media empire you're building. Go from 0 to 1. Look at the next. Just focus every time, one foot in front of the other. Right?
Yeah.
Just focus. Now you've made the plan. You plan the plan, now work the plan.
Okay.
Plan the work the plan.
Yeah.
Right? Put one foot in front of the other and make these iterative steps forward. It's not a direct path. You kind of find yourself pivoting, but in a general direction, you've got vision. You know where you're going. You've got a mission. You know what you're building. Right? You've got a strategy to get there. And now it's just a question of tactically executing. And let me be brutally honest. A bad strategy with good execution is better than a good strategy with bad execution. With no execution, right? We both know that. So don't try and wait for the perfect moment. Don't try and wait for the perfect strategy. And as a matter of fact, if you wait for the perfect moment, the perfect strategy, the perfect sort of value proposition, my argument is you waited too long. Right?
Okay. Yeah, that is really some wise gems. My last question, I propose, is in regards, you just brought some students, interns here, that are also trying to get into cybersecurity or get to the point that you are. What kind of advice do you give to those young people that you are kind of onboarding to your into your company and into the cybersecurity sphere? As we know that it's a high demand skill, and we are lacking young people in the skills, especially cybersecurity. How do you kind of guide these students to end up getting to getting a job in the real world, being more than just interns?
No, it's a good question. I think the first thing is a lot of people come in to our environment, so we tend to take graduates from disadvantaged backgrounds, and we try to give them an opportunity. The first thing you need to understand is that I can teach you skill set, but to be successful, you need a combination of skill set and mindset. And when you're coming from tough circumstances, typically the biggest concern, the first hurdle we need to overcome is that self-belief. So the thing I work on the most is helping them understand that a lot of the people who work in Snode are really successful, but actually if you peel back the layers, they come from very difficult circumstances, right? And those difficult circumstances, when you're living with limitations, but you're still you still work your way to a degree or in computer science or in engineering, etc. When there's no teacher at the school, there's no textbook, sometimes there's no lights at home, you've already built a resilient mindset. You're innovative because you're figuring out solutions to problems, and you're almost designed to be a thought leader in innovation, because you can work with very restrictive circumstances and deliver very high quality excellence, right? And so to help them understand that, hey, just by getting here, you've proven you've got what it takes, right?
Okay.
Because and that's the first thing, is giving them that little bit of self-belief that it can be done. The next thing is giving them that sort of reference point, letting them know that, hey, look, some of their senior peers have come from similar circumstances, and today, they're flying around the world, they're, securing major environments, they're securing uranium facilities, they're securing, mining environments in South America, intelligence agencies, defense, those kinds of things, and helping them understand if they can do it, so can you. The third thing is, and I'll just say this as a final point, is we make it very clear. You're not coming here to be an employee. You're not coming here to be a follower. You're not coming here just to be an employee. You're coming here to be a leader. You're coming here to learn how to become an entrepreneur, how to innovate, either you're going to take over my seat, right? And you're going to be the leadership that takes Snode forward, or, we're going to start up a new company. So I make it very clear to them that their North Star, my expectation of them, is not to mimic or what I have done, but is to exceed.
To exceed your fine. Okay.
And take...
That is great leadership for sure.
That's evolution, right?
Yeah.
And so, and often these kids feel like, hey, I don't know if I can do what you did. And that's the first thing you need to change. Change your mindset. And, and start believing in yourself and saying, and I make it the minimum requirement is for you to do more than I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's lovely. Thank you so much, Nithen. I was going to add in one last question that is just direct. In terms that you spoke about AI and, we're in the age of AI. Say you are DeepSeek or you are ChatGPT right now, and I ask you directly, like, what 3 skills do I need to get a job in cybersecurity?
I think persistence. The one thing that differentiates whether it's a good penetration tester, from an amazing penetration tester, or a good security analyst, or a good threat hunter, is the ability to grab onto a problem and not let go.
Okay.
Right? Try harder. They're good because they just simply work harder. They may not have the technical expertise that their peers or their competitors have, but they've got that staying power. They believe they'll break in, they'll believe they'll stop that attack.
Persistence.
And that persistence is needed.
Okay.
The next one is consistency.
Consistency.
Right? Is the ability to be in that war room day in and day out. That ability to do the research, the vulnerability research, day in and day out. That ability to realize you're in space which requires consistent learning. And the last part is focus. In a world that's so dynamically changing, and you get new areas of specialization. Yesterday everybody's talking about threat intelligence. Today everybody's talking about AI. Tomorrow they'll be talking about quantum, once the fault tolerance on the chips are. But your ability to focus on what matters and stay the course and be able to distinguish between noise and signal, marketing and value, sales and delivery is going to be what really separates you apart. Don't just talk the talk.
Okay. You must walk the walk.
You must.
That is amazing. Thank you so much, Nithen. That's like one of the best so far. Thank you. Make sure you subscribe and tune into the next one.